government to do that in our practice. We feel like it is minimal what the state of South Africa is doing to our practice. But comrades, we want to appreciate you. We want to say salute. Many of our comrades are here in this country. Us as Swayoko, we have been victims of that system. Of us as Swayoko, many of our comrades left so as they were still young. Us as Swayoko, we have been victims of that system. That is why we are prepared to face this crisis, face to face, talk to talk, every day. Because my command is young, freedom of Savalazo is to work and to work. There is nobody that is going to liberate us. But it is only us, the South Korea who needs us first. But we will never be able to free ourselves without solidarity that will come from the people of South Africa. We need the people of Mozambique. We need the people of South Africa. We need the 16 heads of states in the SADC region to decide on the issue firstly. Because we can't continue in SADC to say, no, in Swaziland we can have a dictator. Why the whole region? All the countries that we have in this SADC comrades, we must be aware they have political parties. In Swaziland there is no political party. All political parties in Swaziland are banned. That is a very unique condition that we are living under. And the many of these head of state, they sit with him Swati in that meeting and doesn't want to tell you the truth. Sinenkinga comrades, Mswati akamtshela iqiniso, kude live elikhona la eSADC, belifana live laseSwatini. Onke la mave lesinawo ya political parties. Lolosinawo siyakunehouse ka-SACP, kunemaphathi esibiwakiwo comrades. But in Swaziland that is not allowed. But still, also the country that must sit as the head of state now to SADC. I feel even the guidelines, comrades, to say this country must belong to the SADC. This country must belong to AU. Comrades, that we also we are with us in our struggle, but we know if there is nothing much that you can do for us, besides us, continue fighting in Swatini to day in and day out. Amanta!
Comrades, we are going to 3 minutes. Lengda kusho nje kamala ngembuso wakashongwe khamba ku SPLM. La ukhuluma nje ngezinto letimbili noma nje sengineliphika. La ukhuluma nje ngezinto letimbili comrades. The first one is siyabonga kakhulu for all the support that we have received, not only from South Africa but from across the globe. ekumeni nathi after this royal, brutal, backward and evil regime killed Comrade Thulani. We really appreciate all the support, we really appreciate the solidarity, the messages of support that you are with the mass democratic movement in Swaziland in this very dark time that befell us as my comrades, more especially as the Maseko family. We really appreciate it's been long, we've been burying our own, and we think and we know that it is time that we tilt the scales and they also bury theirs. It's not that we want, but it's because that is the obtaining condition, and that is what we've been presented with. We cannot continue to fold our arms and keep quiet as they continue to pull, to kill and butcher us in the name of preserving Ishonipo, in the name of preserving the royal regime as Eswatini. The second thing that I would like to say, comrades, in the interest of time, is to say we all know Comrade Thulani, what he stood for. He stood for international mobilization. He stood for amplifying the voice of the Swazi struggle across the globe. Comrades, we appeal to all of us across the mass democratic movement, especially in Swaziland, to say wherever we go, whenever we find an opportunity, let us amplify Inzaba Mzabalas was Eswatini. Let us tell the world, because there's been a lot of misinformation, there's been a lot of lies, there's been a lot of by this regime. Having said that, comrades, we also call on international bodies, in particular the SADC. In SADC, we know they've just come back from Namibia. We are waiting in anticipation. What is it that they discuss, and what are the steps that they are going to take before Swaziland degenerates and snowballs into a fully fledged civil war? Comrades, history has told us and has taught us that if something is not arrested in its infancy, it grows and it results in a catastrophe. We saw what happened in Rwanda, the Rwandan genocide. The world stood aback and it looked. They didn't take action when it was supposed to be taken until almost 1 million Rwandese were killed. We don't want to see a similar happening just next door in Swaziland. So that's why we call on the international community, both in Africa and across the world, to say let them take the issue of Swaziland seriously so that we avert a catastrophe in that beautiful country of ours. Lastly, comrades, I would like to say that we all know what Comrade Thulani stood for. Comrade Thulani stood for peaceful negotiation in terms of arriving at the desired results that we all wanted. Having said that, he also stood and he was unwavering in terms of saying, let us make sure that we collapse the Tinkula regime in its entirety. We know, comrades, we know that sometimes when we talk about these things, we become unpopular. But let us speak the truth, comrades, and say, let us hold hands. Everyone is preaching issue of unity. Unity amongst the mass democratic movement in Swaziland, across all the political parties, Ekaya Eswatini. It is very possible, comrades. It is very possible. However, it has to be a unity that is principled. It has to be a unity that is going to drive us to the desired goal. And the desired goal, is to collapse Tingula and just to get rid of the Tingula system of government. So, comrades, it is therefore in that manner, in that spirit, that we say, let us stand in one voice. We did it in the past. We marched in our tens of thousands. We went to the American embassy. At some point in time, what we wanted to call Aspire. We stood in one body as the mass democratic movement in Swaziland. Sathi angeke siye esibayeni because besathi ukuthi makhosetivo ufuna kuyosikhulumisa idodi esibayeni. As a result of that, why was postponed Aspire indefinitely? Even now, comrades, we call on all of us to say let us not go to the elections because we've seen to say when we do that, he then goes out to the world and say everything is fine. But if we can all stand in one voice and say we are all standing and saying we're not going to participate in this thing, And we are saying we want MI-elections, but we want MI-elections that are going to be conducted in a multi-party democratic dispensation, where all people are going to participate, coming from their different respective organizations. That is what we are calling for, comrades. It is therefore we are saying phansi ngama-elections ama-positive phansi. That is what we can say, comrades. If we can do that, the issue of unity is something that we can do, and it's something that is going to be very possible. Amanda.
Makabanda, janitela manixesha niyalibamba. Sizoba ne-problem esobanayo. Can these two organizations short 3 minutes comrade? Lubambano. Pudemo must also come close.
Comrade IB Damini, Imelele, now Swati, Swazi, you are here in South Africa, I'm your convener. Swazi, you are not involved in Zabalazo, Uini,
Mangolor.
If you are a Swazi and you are here, and you are not involved in your in the liberation struggle of your own country, who do you think is going to liberate you? So, comrades, Kosatu, whenever you see them there in those offices, and if you must always ask them, why we are very Galapa, we are not going there when we are going to support. How can South Africans leave the offices and come and support Swazis when Swazis are staying behind in the offices and earning money? The second one, let's talk about the true solidarity. And I've always said, comrades, solidarity is a practical thing. And for many, many years, please, my comrade, as a the new leaders, comrade, Comrade Swalimo, Kudemo, SPLM, Communist Party of Swaziland, and all of you, you must remember the people who stood with you. Never must pass out the man. Because we never thought in all South Africa. There are comsorts here in South Africa. I mean, they were there from the time to their man. We have got more comsorts. They are not supporting the strike in Swaziland. They are waiting for Swati to fall. Then they will come in their suits and then they will say, comrade, let's do business. I was part of this organization. So comrades, we should never ever forget the people who stood with us during the trying times of our liberation struggle. And those people are the South African Communist Party, COSATU, with Nehau and all the affiliates, and there are some ANC and some ANC comrades, because some ANC comrades, they have decided to stand with the enemy. How is it possible, comrades, that the ANC will have a conference in December and the ANC will take a decision to say they want to stand with the people who are fighting in Swaziland, and the whole deputy president of the same ANC who was in the same meeting goes to Swaziland and sits and dine with the killer? When the killer makes a decision and says, I'm going to kill the people, the deputy president of our beloved ANC was there. And when Swati goes there and he kills Comrade Thulani, Maseko, what should we say, comrade? Should we then say, oh, okay, Comrade Deputy President was just there because he was a Swazi? We know, comrade, when in 1994, we had, the comrades know, we had Comrade Matthew Kosa, who was the first premier there. He said to us, anytime, comrade, we are here to support you. And we are saying these things, comrade, because if we don't say it, and then tomorrow people are going to say, we kept quiet. And let us talk about it very briefly. The people who stood with the MK, who were those people? It was ordinary people in Swaziland. It was people like ourselves who stood with the South African people when they were fighting apartheid. In 1982, Sombuza, the father to King Mswati, signed a Pretoria Accord. Do you know what the Pretoria Accord said? It said the South African government can walk into Swaziland and they can kill MK people, and in return, the Boers said to Mswati and Mswati's father, we are going to give you Ingwavuma. They said, we are going to make sure that we protect you against your own people. That was the agreement. But look at it now. Fast forward today. The same comrades, the ANC, some of them, they have forgotten that we, the ordinary people, stood with them. Now, they are allowing mercenaries, the same people who were killing the ANC in Swaziland, and we were protecting the ANC against the people, those mercenaries. Today, the comrades in here, they don't see anything wrong. Can that be, correct, comrade? What's it? Labandu, the people who are killing the MK, who are the mercenaries in Swaziland now, who are supporting Mswati, but they were still killing the ANC, and we were supporting the ANC. So we are saying, please ANC, don't forget the people who were with you during the struggle for liberation. And these are the people who were with you. Amandla! 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 Lastly, how is it possible that we have got drug lords all over here and they are selling drugs? We've got global food, this is the what you call Pushiri, and another was called Vusumudu Pansimbali, look out. How is it possible that the South African government can give Lukau permits to stay here and scam the people of South Africa, because those are scammers, but they cannot give our people a political asylum. How is that correct, my comrade? How can you give drug lords a permit to come and feed your people poison, but you cannot give your own comrades who supported you political asylum? And that is not solidarity, comrades.
Yes.
But we are going to fight, comrades. We're not going to fight Mswati. We're not going to give him ice cream. We have said it. If I shine a nature, if I shine a AK, comrades, anybody who is a Swazi who says he doesn't want war, it's because he's a what? He's a coward. Because he knows there is no other way. You will never have dialogue with a killer. Mswati, the first prize is to overthrow Mswati. Then if I don't know, then if he can come to us and say, can I negotiate? But I sit and say, let's negotiate. How can you negotiate with the killer? Amanda! Amanda!
Viva Kudemo, viva! Viva Kudemo, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva Kosatu, viva! Viva Kosatu, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva the Swazi MDM, viva! Amanda! All power! All power! Comrades, I think the words have been said. And one thing that I will indicate, and one comrade was saying this, since 1998, and I want us to hear it clearly, since 1998, I can't remember how old I was. I've been in this border called I've been in this border called Lapumesa. There's this border called Mlumati. All the borders, all the embassies, the patience is running out.
The energy is running low, but the anger is running high. Comrade, this is the time when we must say less words and say more determination and meaning. And I want to send a message first to us as Swazi. Two things that I want to say. The Ghana and the lessons on Comrade ID. I never say Kosati pay la Comrade ID. Bonga lava sama hobby sin, since 98 here. And Maswati la reach la type of BMW lamba at the motor as a pitol. Labo Director General, whom have offices. A comfortable la South Africa fully Zavala. La man is out of the made us at the ID not say. We will reveal you left it all good in the ID illegal. Either you fight, you join us, you fight, or you are going back to Swaziland. So don't talk only about the Kosat, Kumangala about the Pitol, Kumangala Tiguili, the Maswati, that Guerrilla South Africa, who are in the economies. The CEO of company A is Swaz, the CEO of company B is Swaz, another one of the Kurumito. Our address of the nation is Swaz. If not, what's the company to be honest, as Kumangala. Siwatu will expose opportunists for what they are and who they are. So Kabila Ramsava Center, some of us are sad. I'm not the Tunela Mago. I'm not the Tunela Baba. I'm not the Tunela, my two brothers. And I don't apologize about that. And I don't regret about that. But one thing that I would say is that history must judge whether we've done enough or not. This is the invitation to Maswat. You can be comfortable where you are as you were. The didn't sort such an another the Palingwa to go to Gamako. Go in Gamako, Tilon number 23. Gamanzinda. A Palingwa to Saya San Meter Satellite put. Let's cut some Zavalas where South Africa. Where now you are comfortable where you need so. You and the ones who are selling out South Africans and cadres of the ANC. Now move out of Palma to tell us in South Africa, my comrades in South Africa are not real Swazi, the Maswat as a Swatin, Niola La Tanzin Kosia. If not, there is a quality amongst us, Cinema Swat. But one thing, comrade, I would request let us not fragment, let us unite. Because organizations don't automatically represent people. People remain a Maswati in their million. So as organization, we must know, we must humble ourselves before the people. The people of Swaziland, the Swatini in Agopi represent us, or represent the aspiration. We must represent their aspiration. So fragmentation and number of organizations does not automatically talk to the Swazis who are suffering. But one thing, comrade, let's do it. Let's unite for the sake of the people. We may like each other, we may not like each other. I don't owe you anything. You don't owe me anything. But one thing we owe is the people of Swaziland against one enemy, Swaziland. To the South African community, we thank you, community. We thank you, you took us in, we were orphans. When I arrived in 1998, November, I can't remember how old I was, or how young I was. South African comrades treated us as their brothers and sisters to the point. They took our struggle as theirs. You took us in, you did not ask what was the... You said, where can we fight and how can you help? So we want to thank you, Mboga Janamta, their comrades here, who have been with us in many ways. Mboga, various comrades who are here, who have been sincere and honest to us. Even when sometimes some of our own sources did not believe that Mswati was a rotten egg at that time. But today, this is the time when they want leadership, and ours come to provide that leadership. We may agree or disagree, but one thing we must know. Comrades, South African, you must never doubt our cause, as we have said, as you have never doubted. Say border April 12, comrades. CBL border, this year is the 50th anniversary of the 1973 decree. What is the 1973 decree? It is the decree lying house or so-called Sobuza Babu Mswat. What then are my political parties and organizations? What's in we and a family yake pela labana right to me politic in the land called Swaziland. When our Gamasung Bongani win, that's not Swat. My opinion is that Lamini's were blue blood. The real people. The rest of us are half human. That was 1973. So this year is the 50th anniversary. Sema border say picket until
Day comes when Swaziland, those borders will be open and hard. Tomorrow, comrades, without wasting time. Funema comrades now who are in the organizing team. Tomorrow, the memorial of our own comrade, a fallen stalwart, a friend, a comrade, a giant of a legendary giant of the Swazi struggle, a humble being, Thulani Rudolph Maseko. There is nothing as precious, comrade, as talking about a comrade that you have known as a person. Ankhulumi ngathulani lapha at distance. When I was Secretary General of the University of Swaziland, UNISWA, he was Deputy President. He was next to me here. We were with him in the trenches. In the hunger strike, we were with Thulani. In fact, the most interesting thing, some comrades say the two thinnest people from the hunger strike who went to the hunger strike thin, came out thin, was Thulani and Bongani joking. But anyway, Emgabona Amos Mbezi, Evenda, Thulani asked me, Amos, comrade, I forgot that. Thulani asked, comrades, Sasele Soitu, Babi, Mubando Dangoba Mina now, between us. Today the answer has been provided. Last week, comrade Thulani Rudolph Maseko was buried. Who feel it Thulani? Ulanzelebo Dominic Mgomezulu. Ulanzelebo Shosholoza Koza. Ulanzelebo Dominic Mgomezulu. Ulanzele all the stalwarts we've talked about. But his blood shall not be in vain. Ulanzelebo MJ Jamin. Comrades, who want to say, we may not necessarily know the exact date, but Swaziland will be free, not on this road. So tomorrow we'll talk more about Thulani in honoring the memory of a gallant, humble, yet legendary person, Thulani Rudolph Maseko. May his soul rest in peace. Amanda! Mandla! Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Thulani Maseko, long live! Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Muzi Mema, long live! Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Lando, long live! Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Amos Mbezi, long live! Long live the undying spirit of all our revolutionary heroes, long live! Phansi ngembuso wetenkundla phansi! Phansi ngaMswati phansi! Phansi ngembuso wabonyankwabi phansi! Phansi ngembuso webathakathi phansi! Long live the fighting people of Swaziland, long live! Forward to socialism, forward! Forward to socialism, forward! Forward to the armed struggle, forward! Forward to the armed struggle, forward! Forward to the AK-47, forward! Forward to bazooka, forward! Forward to bazooka, forward! So forward to socialism, forward! Mandla! Comrades, for close to now 50 years, the Ngundla system has waged a war against the people of Swaziland. Systempini Lapa now for close to 50 years. And as the Communist Party of Swaziland were saying, the system is absolute monarchy. Labaifaka 1973, ufanele senze isiqiniseko sokuthi I am celebrating of 50 years. Why? This seems impossible. But as the Communist Party of Swaziland, we have seen the many impossibilities that the people of Swaziland have made possible. And so we believe it is possible when the people of Swaziland are united. Let us fight and defeat Mswati's war of oppression with the people's war of liberation. This is the time not to compromise, but to fight decisively. Silo nembuso wabomswati. Sikhumbule ukuthi namuhla lo since 2008 20 September, Comrade Amos Mbezi solo uboshiwe. Bambophe wazi bamfaka phansi ethulweni solo aboshiwa siboshwa. Ubulawa bomswati. Ufa futhi solo uboshiwe. Sikhumbule futhi ukuthi manenge maswati lasekafile kusukela 1973 abulawa umbuso womswati. Ngakho-ke kufanele ukuthi senesiqiniseko ukuthi sakha i-unit siba munye silwa decisively a war against the war of oppression yabomswati. We must fight a war of liberation against the war of oppression yabomswati. That means
akufuneki ukuthi kube ne-middle ground in this fight. Asikhumbule ukuthi inkululeko yethu ayikho esandleni kaSadak, ayikho esandleni kabo-African Union. And this is why, as the Communist Party of Swaziland City, we must remember the people of Zimbabwe who are still fighting for justice in their country. And that's why we say Africa itself still needs a serious revolution. Safuna kuliwe kususa onke la mahlipi labatibita ngebaholi base-Afrika. Labantu laba ngibo labathi msatlakathe yangikhulu bese bayambathisa. Ngibo labathi msathi Masekawa bamjikele emasendi ukuthi avuke. Therefore, we must also support the struggles of all the other people who are fighting in Africa. The people of Western Sahara. We must support them against the colonial regime of Morocco. Morocco, which is a friend of Mswati. We must support the people of Palestine who are in a struggle against a colonial regime of the Zionist state of Israel. Israel itself is sponsoring Mswati to strengthen them in security. So they are part of our problem. And this is why we say our struggle for liberation in Swaziland must at one and the same time be a struggle against imperialism. We cannot be truly fighting for liberation if we are not at the same time fighting against imperialism. Because Nivo, the Labanika Mswati, demand is ukuthi arane ma projects akhe to legitimize his regime. And lastly, as the Communist Party of Swaziland, we reiterate our stance, let's sort of issue each and every time after 5 years since Mswati has undertaken Thulani. This year, what we need to do three things in addition to building unity. We need to make sure that asilungenele lukhetho lomswati. Kwesibili, kufuna sento esiqiniseko ukuthi siyaluhliphita lukhetho lomswati. Kwesithathu, kufuna siqiniseko ukuthi noma ngabe sofuna kulupostpone sime sigcine silumisile lukhetho lomswati. We must boycott, disrupt, and stop Mswati's elections. These elections are not about us. They are not about the people of Swaziland. They are not about strengthening the masses of the people of Swaziland. They are all about legitimizing this regime. We know all forces of Swaziland have said, akalufuni lukhetho lomswati. And all forces have said, vele kufuna lungabukhona ngoba lungcolile lucorrupt. And as such, we are saying, let us run a serious, dedicated program for the boycott and the disruption and the stopping of the Nkundla elections, all the way towards overthrowing the very regime which rules us, including the monarchy itself, along with its roots, and build a democratic republic based on people's power towards socialism.
Comrade, let's allow the two last speakers before we hand over our memorandum. It's kind of special. Can we allow the house that will be followed by everything? Amanda.
Amanda, away too. Amanda, away too. Magakando msati magakandwe. Maipele tinkundla maipele. Okay, thank you. Enough with salutations. I'm already disturbed by program director Maseko. We must be quick, but I'm trying to do so with the best of my ability, comrades. But it's quite disheartening to listen to speaker after speaker articulating and painting the picture of the Swaziland situation. It cannot be correct as Nehau, Silana, and then we can be quiet. Nehau will forever be on the forefront with the people, with the struggle with the people of Swaziland, comrades. Nehau will initiate every move. Not so long ago, comrades, we were here. And I must tell you, comrades, we don't come here for fun. Whatever action that we must come here, we must ensure at all material times that we intensify the programs.
Last time we were here, these arrogant people came here to take and sign the memorandum. We are not sure even that memorandum was thrown down the bin or was it shredded or what. We must make them aware that we are not coming here to have fun, comrades. It's not a joyful situation when you see us picketing here. It's the people of Swaziland who ensured that they put pressure on the oppressive government of the past in order to see us being free here in South Africa. So it's up to us as South Africans to also return that particular favor. It's us, the people of South Africa, who must rally behind the struggle of the people of Swaziland. People like Amos Mbezi have died under the hands of Tinkula regime. And now we are talking about Comrade Thulani, the same setup, the same Tinkula regime, and we cannot be quiet. We are commemorating comrades year in, year out. Hundreds of thousands of people are dying at the hands of the absolute monarch. This is the last absolute monarch, but now we're brutalizing our people on the ground. The students in universities, their life are not easy. The workers, their life is not easy. The communities in general, their life are not easy. Yes, only because of this person. From the leadership of his father, Ukin Sobuza, up until now, the situation is still the same. It's actually have deteriorated. So we cannot allow this. So through the progressive forces of the left, we will continue to mobilize, conscientize, and ensure that at the end of the day, we disrupt this particular monarch. This monarch is a monarch that doesn't favor the workers, it doesn't favor anyone, it only favors those few Thaminis that are there. If you want to work in the parliament of Swaziland, you must bear a particular Thami. You cannot come there with any other Thami. You must be a Thamini, and your life will be easy. You'll be offered, whether you have a qualification or not, you'll be offered a post-job base. So us as in the House Congress, we are reiterating the point that we made in August, to say we will always and forever make sure that we make as much noise as possible. We will forever be on the side of the progressive forces that are making sure that Itinkundla is our Mataban. Thank you very much, Mataban. Amanda! Away too! Amanda! 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 Viva Putemo! Viva! Viva the Communist Party of Swaziland! Viva! Viva Swalimo! Viva! Pambili nge diaspora! Pambili! Pambili nge diaspora! Pambili! Auwe umbuso ka Swati mauwe! Phansi ngetinkundla regime phansi! Phansi ngetinkundla regime phansi! Viva the Communist Party! Viva! Viva the Communist Party! Viva! Viva COSATU! Viva! Viva COSATU! Viva! Long live the fighting and dying spirit of Thulani Maseko! Long live! Long live Comrade Thulani Maseko! Long live! Long live Amos Mbezi! Long live! Long live Amos Mbezi! Long live! Liyabesaba na! Liyabesaba na! Viva the Cuban Revolution! Viva! Viva the Palestinian struggle! Viva! Long live the people of Western Sahara! Long live! Long live the people of Western Sahara! Long live! Viva the great people of Swaziland! Viva! Viva the great people of Swaziland! Viva! Comrades, on behalf of the South African Communist Party in Gauteng, we want to greet all of you and extend revolutionary greetings and a word of solidarity, comrades. Amongst us here, we have noted the president of the Swaziland National Association of Teachers. We acknowledge you, President, and all the leadership present here, comrades. We know, comrades, that in a normal situation, yourselves should be in Swaziland leading ordinary lives. But because of the Tinkunda regime, you are exiled in South Africa for standing firm on the right to self-determination.
comrades, as the SSCP in Gauteng, we want to thank our district, the Linda Jabane district, for organizing this picket, because this picket is a resolution, comrades, of the PEC and our 15th National Congress that we must intensify the struggle in support of the pro-Swazi democracy. We're very clear, comrades, that South Africa and the SADC can never be free as long as the Tinkunda regime prevails in Swaziland. The attack on Comrade Thulani Maseko in the main is an attack on all of us pro-democracy forces. Ourselves as South Africans were beneficiaries of international solidarity. Therefore, as revolutionaries, we have duty bound to fight side by side with the downtrodden, oppressed people of Swaziland. Furthermore, comrades, I agree with the comrades that says here we must be impatient with what is happening in Swaziland. Part of being impatient as we prepare for April 12th is to also engage the governing party in South Africa. That it can be, comrades, that the National Liberation Movement of Oliver Tambo and Thulani is quiet about the brutal killings in Swaziland. We can't be accomplices, comrades, in the butchering of and the brutality of the people of Swaziland. Ourselves, we must be the most vocal people that talk to what is happening in Swaziland. Furthermore, comrades, we are also aware that the South African businesses like MTN, like Coca-Cola South Africa, who are complicit in the crimes that are happening in Swaziland. So part of the boycott is to expose those corporates who are participating together with Mswati in murdering our comrades and in suppressing democracy in Swaziland. Comrades, all of us as the Alliance, we must prepare for October 12th and ensure that when October 12th, we blockade all the borders leading to Swaziland. Of course, Comrade Bongani Masuk is correct that some of us have been in this struggle for as long as we remember. At some point, we were referred as young workers. We are no longer young now. So it means that we must increasingly become impatient in removing the Tinkunda regime. We are banned in Swaziland because of a stance we have taken to always be on the side of the downtrodden working class masses of Swaziland. Because we are a communist party, comrades, we wanted to say this, Comrade Bongani, when the people who are accepting the memorandum are here, because our struggle as communists is international. The imperialist forces that suppress the people of Swaziland are the very same imperialist forces that continue to suppress Western Sahara, that continue to impose a blockade against Cuba, who continue to annihilate an entire race in Palestine. So we wanted to say this in their presence. One of the things we want to say here, comrades, as the Communist Party, we understand that unity is the mother of all false principles. And we want to ensure, comrades, that all the pro-Swazi, pro-democracy forces in Swaziland must unite. Because it is only through when we are united, firstly as Swazis, but at large as revolutionaries, that we can bring down the Tinkunda regime. Amandla! Amandla! Viva the African Communist Party! Viva! Away with Mswati! Away! Away with the Tinkunda regime! Away! Long live Comrade Thulani Maseko! Long live!
I think I must also apologize to myself and others. While we are also waiting, now It was Mr. We are waiting for them to come and receive memorandum. Can we allow the president as well?
Viva Nehau, viva! Viva Kosatu, viva! Viva South African Communist Party, viva! Manda! Comrades, wabasemfika ekugcineni. Although we are two mafika move to play, but I think mine will be a very small piece that I'm going to have Namos. Due to Sikati comrades, abonge our comrades from South Africa. Lababone ukuthi kumtoka ukuthi singabuya sibe kanye kanye kulendzaba lesitengayo namuhla. Maybe it is very important ukuthi ngisho ukuthi my name is Mbongwa Dlamini. I am the current president of the Swaziland National Association of Teachers. Asibonge ke lesithuba lokuthi comrades nina nonke eMaswati khona la. We know the reason why you are this side is because you have got an impact on that side. So bengathi nikhona nisethi indawo letehlukene even look khona ngale kangwane, and Mswati decided to bring you together and make sure, comrades, as you are this side, make sure your presence here iba effective, and make sure you make plans to intensify the struggle so that our people can be liberated back from our country. Maybe just 2 minutes. Ngifuna ukuthi beqala nangabe sodude lo consular kufuna sikusho nako comrades ukuthi sicela ukuthi asilungisele nathi into ezimbili. It is only in Swaziland la khona sive khona ukuthi violence can stop dialogue. Kulamanye emave nasekuphileni nje sathi ukuthi dialogue will stop violence. Siyajabha ke ukuthi lo Prime Minister Cleopas went to SADC, and nakafika SADC he was given instruction ukuthi they must go back and speed up dialogue. Nasajika abuyele emuva instead ukuthi aphendule le emhlanganweni la bekakhona khona. He waited ukuthi ayofika ekhaya bese ubhala incwadi and respond to the instruction labanikete yona emhlanganweni. And he doesn't understand ukuthi it was a resolution of a meeting. Angeke uyijikise ngencwadi. Sineke as teachers labanye ke batawubuta ukuthi why silibane kuhlupheka kangaka as teachers. Njengoba uhulumende try by all means to make sure ukuthi our mouth is shut as teachers. I-reason yakhe ukuthi asivale imlomo ukuthi ufuna ukugcilata eMaswati. Inkinga lekhona as long as kuhlupheka kweMaswati ku-affecta lonke eliswati lelikhona lapha including teachers, we are not going to keep our mouth shut. Kungoba kunebothishela labasebafile because of that regime. Kunebantwana besikolo lesebafile because of that regime. Angeke ke sihlale phansi sithule as teachers. Ngifuna ukugcina ngokuthi nyalo we are demanding justice for comrade Thulani. Futhi we are aware ukuthi lokho lesibhizi sikhuluma ngako sifuna kumtshela SADC ukuthi SADC must not expect the regime ukuthi ngiyo leka uconductor leyo investigation. Azange sesikubone vele lokuthi inkukhu thathi iphekela imanje uyihlutha yona. That is impossible. So we need ukuthi aseqhamuke an independent organization itayitosendela that investigation. Kungoba the over 100 weMaswati lafa nga 2021 solo kude lokhona lesimatiko lobekwe icala nangekusolwa. Nyalo uhulumende is quick ubala labafile abale ukuthi kufebo chief abale ukuthi kufebo bani njengoba sikhuluma nje labo bakhe lababalayo ukuthi bafile sekunebantu labasolako labasejele enyalo uyabe labasolwa ukuthi uthi yena bababulele but baphi labasolwa ukuthi babulele laMaswati. Angeke baze bavele because uhulumende akananzaba namuntu. So that as NAT, we are going to make sure that we are always with the people of Swaziland and pushing the struggle forward.
Leadership, we've reached the climax, the part of the day, what we are here for. Can I then allow and ask Kamala Kege Makabanuba, what I will be hearing over, but let me hand over to Provincial Secretary for to hand over to
nang manggol ito lang sa petition.
of people of Eswatini forward. Phansi ngomswati phansi. Phansi ngomswati phansi. Phansi abantu abarepresent umswati phansi. Phansi. Phansi abantu abarekimbasha phansi. Phansi. Phansi abantu abashati phansi. Phansi. Umuso wotsotsi awuwe. Can we listen to Nopala? Comrades, can we try and come closer as we are about to read the memorandum? But asizocelwa nguye masifunde nini sizoyifunda when we are ready. And nina amapolisa asemzansi niye kuprotecta lo muntu. Isigebengu lo muntu osemva kwami. Istraight yabantu bakhe. Bagadi isigebengu. Silamule ele tambo Silamule tambo Silamule tambo Safa l'Umswati Safa l'Umswati Silamule tambo Silamule tambo Silamule tambo Silamule tambo Safa l'Umswati Safa l'Umswati Silamule tambo Silamule tambo Silamule tambo Silamule Order to you, MC. It looks like MC ufuna uhamba nge-agenda kaMswati. And thina suqalelwa isikhathi sememorandum kuwe Mswati. Udala sitshalilanga la ngawushe nawe. Dala sinyamezele. Comrades, here goes the memorandum. Siyayazi ukuthi nizoyilahla emgomeni xa nisuka la kodwa sizuyeka unifundela le memorandum. It is 50 years since the passing of the 1973 King Kundla royal decree by King Sobhuza II, the father of the current King Mswati III. The decree outlawed political parties, dissolved parliament, placed legislative, executive and judicial powers in the hands of the king. Swaziland has sustained all its regressive policies that impoverish the people at the barrel of a gun. They have imprisoned and assaulted innocent people of Swaziland
while destroying the livelihoods of the young people. The Swaziland regime has a complete disregard of the people's will. The establishment of a democratic system of political rule remains forbidden. The recent inhumane death of our comrade Thulani Maseko is indicative of how brutal and inhumane the Tinkundla regime. The countless acts of violence on pro-democracy activists is well documented worldwide. We condemn these repressive actions with the strongest contempt possible. The continued undemocratic rule of the Tinkundla regime constitutes an undeniable demonstration of its aggressive escalation against the people of Swaziland. Our freedom as South Africans is a product of internationalism and the support of the international community. In our submission of this memorandum, we demand the following. We call for the Embassy of Swaziland and the Consulate to vacate South Africa as South Africa supports democracy and the protection of human rights. I hope you feel it. We can't wait to as an independent investigation on the death of Comrade Thulani Maseko and all political activists killed by the regime. All political parties must be unbanned, and your regime must furthermore end all forms of repression against political opposition. Remove mercenaries in the country. Create dignified employment for the poor and ensure that public servants receive cost of living adjustment. Your regime should stop its corruption and blatant misuse of state resources, which induces heavy burdens on the people and fuels their suffering and misery. We call on for the immediate and unconditional release of all political prisoners. We support the people's demands for a democratically elected Constituent Assembly to develop a new constitution for a new constitutional multi-party democracy, and for the people of Swaziland to elect their own executive government. We call for the immediate removal of the draconian 12th April 1973 decree which bans political parties, trade unions, and all forms of legitimate political activity. Abolishment of the Public Services Bill which outlaws political activities by public servants. The unconditional return of all Swazis in exile must be urgently allowed. We place these demands as peace-loving South Africans and urge your response within the next 14 days. I hope it's available. I hope it's feeling ngoba sawuhlala siyenza. Sizowuhlala siyenza lento until nideni simamele. Can comrade the leaders of the organization come and also sign the memorandum? All those that are allowed or they've got right to sign, can they come and sign? Can they come, comrade? Must I allow him to address us? Yes. Yes. Want to be addressed by murderer? Yes. Okay, it's fine. Allow him. Ena daisa lo muntu kumswati munikeze le nto akhuluma umswati ayomdala lapho. Bambule comrade abasayine leadership sign memorandum. Nikeze lo muntu asa address uyabuya ke within the next basaphela sifuna ukuzwa ukuthi you must at least tell us who's receiving the memorandum. Himself, that's what he said earlier on. I want him to introduce himself. Yes. No, you must come inside. Outside. Now. Comrade, we need to know who's receiving this memorandum. We need to know. So that nakusasa sasa umkhumbuzo ukuthi lithathilwa ifake edustbin. Sayifuna futhi. Now let's listen, comrade. Let him introduce himself. Siyavusela. Njani? Bongo sami ngwalahleka. Ngiyibeke la kufanele khona futhi sikhita usebenzele. Nyiwe mine yona ngayisatha ngiyibeke la kufanele khona. Because of Nina. What's on